All right, guys, so I'm going to be giving my reaction to the final college basketball Saturday here of the 2023-2024 season. What a crazy amount of upsets. We might have North Carolina catapulting themselves from kind of a mid two seed to possibly being the final one seed after what happened. We're going to go through all these games, talk about how these teams are playing, going into their conference tournaments, going into the NCAA tournament in general. And how about Houston with a crazy statement? Guys, let's not overthink it with Houston. This is a guaranteed, probably Elite Eight team, maybe Final Four team, but don't be cute and pick Houston to lose early. They've got too good of a defense. They've got a good enough offense. They will go deep into the tournament. I don't know if I will be picking them to be my national champion. They smother Kansas. Was not close. Kansas is a team that's trending down right now. Certainly, I can see a lot of people picking against the Jayhawks in the tournament. They're having a down year by their standard. Just 10-8 in conference play. That was not a competitive basketball game at all. UConn beats Providence, holds serve. They win by 14 points on the road. UConn is another team we would expect. They're a free Sweet 16 team. Probably going to make the Elite Eight very easily. I don't know about Final Four with UConn yet, but they are loaded. There is no denying it. That's another one. I'm trying not to outsmart myself. Those are two guaranteed one seeds. You do have Kentucky beating Tennessee on the road. Very interesting. 85-81. Huge win for Kentucky, who was already trending up on the seed line. Could they move into a 4 seed? Maybe if they win the SEC, possibly be a 3 seed. They're impressive right now. They've got the offensive firepower. I'm liking Kentucky. It's definitely a risk with the defense and how bad it is. Kentucky is a real interesting team to watch. We'll see what they do in the SEC tournament. Tennessee, the loss, that's tough. They're going to be probably a solid 2 seed going into March Madness. They were the final 1 seed, but this loss is going to push them back. If they win the SEC tournament, though, I see them catapulting back to be that final number 1 seed. How about USC over Arizona? So you think Tennessee loses, Arizona's going to swoop back up and be that final 1 seed. A bad loss against a bad USC team who right now is 14-17. Maybe USC gets into the NIT because they want the views with Bronny James. But yeah, Arizona, I still like Arizona, but my goodness, that's a lackadaisical loss on the road against USC. They will be a 2 seed. I'm very sure right now Tennessee's probably going to be a 2 seed. Arizona probably going to be a 2 seed. If they win their conference tournaments, maybe things change. Kansas State beats Iowa State. Guys, Iowa State probably going to be a 3, maybe as high as a 2 seed. They might be my seismic first round upset. I do not like Iowa State's profile. The loss on the road against a mediocre Kansas State team. I guess Kansas State is okay, but still, Iowa State does not have the offensive firepower to sustain a long tournament run. You've got North Carolina on the road, commanding win over Duke. It ended close, but North Carolina now looks like they're the final number 1 seed after everything that happened. Pretty crazy. It's a very impressive win on the road against a Duke team that was playing very well. Marquette beats Xavier. They hold serve. Kind of a closer game than expected there, 86-80, but winning on the road in the Big East is tough. Creighton over Villanova by 2 points. Creighton was up big in that game. Villanova right now on the bubble trying to come back. That would have been a huge win for Villanova and certainly a game it was like a pick'em type game just because of the home court advantage for Villanova, but they still lost and they finished 10-10 in Big East play. Texas Tech beats Baylor. Baylor is a team that I think they win a game and then they're probably done. I'm not confident on them making the Sweet 16. They're going to win one and then they'll be done. Do not pick Baylor to go deep. Texas Tech, that's a solid win. Both of those teams finish 11-7. Texas Tech might be underrated by people right now. I really do. They've had a few tough losses, but they've been a team I was liking and then they lost some games, but maybe I'll start liking them again. Auburn beats Georgia. Georgia is terrible. Auburn is a team that is loved analytically. I think Auburn will probably be a Sweet 16 team, and depending on their draw, possibly make the Elite Eight. Bama beats Arkansas barely in overtime. Not a great performance from Alabama. They've always got a great offense. The defense is a work in progress. I think Alabama's a Sweet 16 team, but the defense is going to hold them back. South Carolina beats Mississippi State. Mississippi State kind of an 8-9 seed right now. South Carolina a little bit higher. South Carolina, we've been talking about them possibly being involved in one of those 5v12 games. Could they lose in the first round? It is possible, but you have to respect that win going on the road and getting it done. BYU beats Oklahoma State. Nice win for BYU. They're a team that's loved analytically. Utah State over New Mexico by 2 points only. New Mexico right now squarely on the bubble. Very tough loss. I really don't like Utah State going deep in the tournament. I think they're going to be a one and done. I think they lose in the first round. And then Tulsa beats South Florida. So South Florida now 16-2 in the American. They have to win their conference tournament, guys. I know people look and they see South Florida inside the top 25. That's irrelevant. Analytically, South Florida is hated. They don't have the net. They don't have the analytics. Without winning the American Conference Tournament, I think they have to win that, especially now to be in. The loss to Tulsa, who's just 7-11 in the American, it is not good. But let's get to the real Sunday updated seed lines right now. You do have Purdue, Houston, UConn. Those are pretty much locks. And then North Carolina. Analytically, they're the number 10 team, but if you go by most deserving, they're the fourth and final number 1 seed. And to me, North Carolina, they're the obvious number 1 seed that would be out early. And that's nothing against North Carolina. I'm just saying, when you look at these 4 1 seeds, I see 3 1 seeds that are locks to go to the Sweet 16, possibly the Elite 8. And the 4th 1 seed I could see losing to an 8 or a 9. The 2 seeds, you do have Tennessee dropping down to the 2 line. I don't think that's the worst thing in the world for Tennessee. Marquette also a 2 seed. Iowa State, both Marquette and Iowa State, I'm not in love with as 2 seeds. Arizona, I still do really like, even after that bad loss to USC, but I want to see how they respond to it. On the 3 line, you've got Creighton, Baylor. Not in love with those 2 teams. Duke and Kansas. So a very interesting 2 blue bloods there with Duke and Kansas. Be interesting to see what draws they get. I still do like Duke even after the loss to North Carolina at home. Moving out of the 4 line, Illinois, explosive team. A team I'm really considering as a 4 seed going very deep into this tournament. Kentucky is a team I'm really starting to consider now based on their offensive firepower. Auburn is loved analytically. And how about South Carolina? 45th analytically, but based on most deserving, they're a 4 seed. So they would be the 1-4 seed that you would think would possibly be upset by a 13 seed. Moving on to the 5 line, BYU, Gonzaga, like both of those teams to win their games against 12 seeds. Nevada is a team I could see getting upset. Alabama, I think, would beat a 12 seed. That's the famous 5v12 games. Moving on to the 6 seed, Texas Tech up to a 6 seed. The top of the 6 line, you do have Utah State, Clemson, and Wisconsin dropping down. I think the 6th line this year is very weak. I could see Utah State, Clemson, Wisconsin all losing to 11 seeds. But that is kind of tough because you're dealing with possible first 4 games. We don't really know their opponents. Moving on to the 7 seeds, you've got Dayton, Texas up to a 7 seed, Boise State, and Northwestern. I would pick against Boise State probably here. Probably also pick against Dayton. I like Texas to advance against a 10 seed. I like Northwestern to advance against the 10 seed. Looking at the 8 line, San Diego State, Washington State, Nebraska, and Oklahoma. Depends on the matchups. I do like Washington State and Nebraska to possibly win a game. I think Oklahoma loses right away. San Diego State, their tournament pedigree is very good, so they might be able to beat a 9 seed. The 9 line, it is Florida, feast or famine team. So, this is a game I didn't cover because it wasn't ranked, but Florida lost yesterday. That's a brutal loss. They could have been a 6 seed. They drop all the way to the 9 line. They're very bipolar. Florida's either going to go to the Elite 8 or they're going to lose in the first round. They might go to the Final 4 or lose in the first round. That's just what Florida is. At least it seems like it. TCU also a 9 seed. Virginia now on the 9 seed. Very little upside with them. And then Michigan State, obviously a team that I'm sure a lot of people are going to be picking to go deep. Can they put it together? We will see. The 10 line, St. Mary's down to a 10 seed. Very good analytics. Very bad conference. That's what's holding them back in terms of most deserving. Colorado State, Seton Hall. Seton Hall, really not a fan of. Colorado State, really not a fan of. Colorado, I like. I like Colorado in a 7v10 game, depending on who they face. Pittsburgh, FAU, and Indiana State all in. So Indiana State faces Drake today. A lot of people are speculating, and a lot of people are going to be outraged if Indiana State loses a close game to Drake. Obviously, Drake gets the auto bid out of the Missouri Valley. What if Indiana State gets left out completely? People will be pissed, but it could happen. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that game. If Drake blows them out, I think they certainly will be left out. But if it's a close game, it'll be interesting. People think even if Drake loses, they should be in. That's very likely not going to happen. But either way, you can see FAU in as an 11 seed, as well as Pittsburgh. Looking at the 12 seeds, James Madison, Grand Canyon, and Princeton. The 13 seeds, these are pretty much the same. McNeese, Sanford, Vermont, UC Irvine. The 14 seeds, Charleston, La Tech, Morehead State, and Colgate up to the 14. Quinnipiac up to the 15. You do have Toledo, Weber State, and Oakland, and then UNC Asheville. That was a crazy upset in that conference there. The 2 seed from that conference getting in now, along with South Dakota State. Looking at the first 4 teams, I do think St. John's profiles as a first 4 team. They do also have Texas A&M, Wake Forest, and Villanova as first 4 teams. Looking at the teams out, Iowa, huge game against Illinois. If they win that, I'm sure they're going to be in as one of the final 4 teams in. Butler, Providence, Drake, they've got to beat Indiana State, Kansas State, Mississippi State, Syracuse, and Cincinnati. That is just an updated look at this bracket, what's going on with college basketball, the final day of regular season action, and then we do have the conference tournaments tomorrow. I will be doing a bracketology tomorrow to update everything, and then I'll be doing probably my final bracketology on Thursday. So there's 2 more bracketology updates left, I would say, unless I do another one next Saturday, although I really don't see the need to do it. Either way, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.